Good day, everyone. We are here in front of you to present. This presentation includes the said topic. Number 1, Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Lupa. Number 2, Mga Aral ng Katipunan. Number 3, Declaration of the Philippine Independence. The said topics is all about the history of the Philippines. Please give us a minute and lend us your ears. Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Lupa. Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Lupa. The poem Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Lupa was a composition of Andres Bonifacio, regarded as the father of the Philippine Revolution, for he led the Philippine revolutionaries in asserting and defending the Filipinos' right to liberty from the Spanish rule.
The Filipinos have constantly struggled for their independence from the colonizers. Since the early revolts have numerous motives, the 1896 Philippine Revolution, spearheaded by Andres Bonifacio and his Katipunan, hoped for a better cause, which is freedom.
It was written to be read or heard by fellow Filipinos, and the first issue of Kalayaan. Also, an exhortation to the Filipino people to join the crusade for Philippine independence. This passionately written work of Bonifacio was one of his contributions to the Filipinos awakening from their ill-fated fight back then.
This particular poem was likely based on his life, his experience among fellow Filipinos, since in reading the poem one would notice that Bonifacio wrote his sentiments about the Filipinos. He thought that Filipinos had their sense of pride of being Filipinos. He provoked the emotions as well as the intellects of the Filipinos populace to feel inside them. More so, realize among themselves that there is no country for them but the Philippines. They should appreciate and love their country more than anyone else, since there are no other people who can give love and appreciate their country except the countrymen themselves, the Filipino themselves. Andres Bonifacio hastily showed his love and patriotism to his motherland through the said act. Bonifacio actively responded to the call of the time to make a change. Patriotism and love for his native language when the Kalayaan, the official organ of the Katipunan.
Graphic organizer. Number 1. Triangle. The white equilateral triangle symbolized liberty, equality, and fraternity. Number 2. Colors. A horizontal blue stripe for peace, truth, and justice, and a horizontal red stripe is for patriotism and valor. Number 3. 8 rays of the sun. Each ray of the sun represents province with significant involvement in 1896 Philippines Revolution against Spain. These are Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Pampanga, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Laguna, and Batangas. Number 4. 3 star. 3 5-pointed star, one at each of the triangle points, stand for 3 major island groups. It's Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Mga aral ng Katipunan. Mga aral ng Katipunan. A piece wrote by the Philippine revolutionary writer and considered as one of the greatest military geniuses of his time, Emilio Jacinto. He was the only son of a man named Mariano Jacinto and a woman named Josefa Dizon. After he was born, his father passed away. This untimely death forced his mother to send Emilio to live with his uncle, Don Jose Dizon. Jacinto became a close friend and advisor of Andres Bonifacio. He was born in Tondo, Manila, December 15, 1875, and he was 23 when he died of malaria on April 16, 1899. He wrote the Kartilya ng Katipunan, which became not only a primer for members but an ideology embodying moral and nationalistic principles.
During the Philippine Revolution in 1896, Jacinto used his skills and intellect to help his countrymen or Katipuneros, which was led by Andres Bonifacio, in the pursuit of Filipino freedom and independence from Spain. Katipuneros' acts were guided by the Cartilla, a moral and intellectual underpinning. Members of the Katipunan were required to lead by the Cartilla and follow its code of conduct upon joining.
The intended audience of this piece is the Katipuneros itself, for them to be guided of their ideology and actions and adhere to its purpose of liberty of the Filipinos. The Cartilla was the moral and intellectual foundation used to guide the actions of Katipuneros. It presented its concept of virtuous living as a lesson for self-reflection rather than as direct prescriptions. It asserted that it was the internal, not the external qualification that makes human greatness.
It is considered timeless and relevant even to the industrializing and globalizing present because this shows us that there are expected etiquette and decorum wherever we are and whatever situation we put in. The Cartilla can be better appreciated in its original Tagalog form because its essence was expressed using Tagalog syntax. It should be also appreciated within the social and political environment of that colonial era amid local traditions, spiritual beliefs, family concepts, and ethnic diversity.
The piece provoked us a sense of integrity, leadership, and responsibility. It gave us a sense, purpose, and understanding the concept of liberty and independence. The tone of the piece is persuasive in a way that it can change a person's perspective about life, social status, and ideology. The piece is a manifestation of why we should value our freedom and why we should be empathetic. We should know how to be considerate and try to look others' perspectives. Everyone should have equal importance and that everyone matters.
Declaration of Philippines Independence. Declaration of Philippines Independence. A lawyer named Ambrosio Rionsares Bautista wrote one of the most important articles in the Philippines history, which was the act of the Declaration of Philippine Independence in 1898. When the Philippines finally proclaimed its independence, Bautista was also the one who had read the paper to the crowd. Moreover, it was President Emilio Aguinaldo's first advisor and was designated as the war counselor and special delegate during that time.
During the Spanish era, Filipinos have undergone various unfair and unjust treatment from the colonizer. Oppression, discrimination, and abuse, especially from the pharaohs, were some of the most notable events that was specified in the documents. Aside from these history books, and even our ancestors have told us how they were exploited, as well as how the Spanish authorities thirst of power. Since then, there have been several acts of resistance that continued for years, which emerged from the secret revolutionary society called Katipunan.
This document was written on behalf of all the Filipinos that were tired of bearing the menacing joke of Spanish domination during August 1898, first ratification in Bacoor, Cavite, 29 September 1898, officially ratified by the Malolos Congress. This act of declaration was a result of every Filipino's eagerness to fight for their rights against the Spaniards. Furthermore, this was written to proclaim the Philippines' right to the sovereignty and independence from drastic and colonial rule of the Spanish Empire.
This important document was written as a consolidation of every Filipino's cry for freedom from external control, since it was highlighted in some sections of the paper the events and the details that led in the proclamation of independence. This includes the oppression, discrimination, abuse, exploitation, and unfair treatment, which was also stated earlier. Also, the historical movements in the paper also woke one's patriotism allegiance to its own country. Although this paper has a good aim in claiming the country's independence, one cannot deny the fact that there have been discrepancies.
This includes how this document also have a lapse in giving out accurate information. That is, there is a prejudice in terms of political matter, which happened both in the content and context of the article itself. As this act was supposedly just and fair, it turns out that only one party was acknowledged in terms of their hard work, contribution, and sacrifices for the triumph of the revolution. Hence, this taught every reader to always seek for the truth and must always guarantee its precision as well as its credibility.
The way this act of declaration was written portrays a reflective, assertive, and confident matter that reveals eagerness to proclaim the motherland's independence and sovereignty. This tells us Filipinos that we have our freedom from the colonizer.
History. Did you know what? Ferdinand Magellan. The Philippines was discovered in 1521 by Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan and colonized by Spain from 1565 to 1898. Following the Spanish-American War, it's become a territory of the United States.